May 6, 2017. This was actually about how this happened, how my life changed forever. Changed forever. Changed forever. It was one Saturday that I actually took off. I normally don't take off on Saturdays. So I was working at a car lot. I'm not going to say the name of the car lot, but I was working at a car lot. Me working at the car lot, of course, as a car salesman, you put in a whole bunch of hours. So, of course, this is one of those Saturdays and one of those rare Saturdays that I actually called in and took off for the day. So by me taking off for the day, I actually hung out with a cousin of mine. Hung out with a cousin. We actually went out, hung out for a minute. We was talking about normal things that we normally talk about, cars and music. That's what pretty much was our main topic on that day. So basically, around let's say 3 p.m. I get a phone call from my son. Normally, I'm always happy to hear from my son anytime he called me. But of course, it was just like one of those calls. It pretty much sounded like he wanted something or he needed something. So basically, I answered the phone. I was actually in the line, actually grabbing myself something to eat at the time. So he called me up. He's like, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing?" I told him I was hanging out, and I took off. He said, "Well, Dad, I thought you was at work today." I said, "Well, yeah, because he normally know I am at work." So he said, "I thought you was at work, Dad." I said, "No, I took off today." All right. So I told him that. So he went on to ask me the question that he wanted. So he said, "Well, Dad, I met this girl, and I wanted to um, go out and see her." Basically, but that wasn't his words. His words are exactly were, "Hey, Dad, could you take me to go get some cuckoo?" Now, uh, that's what my son told me, 16-year-old boy. Of course, me being a father, I'm like, okay, well, hey, man, that's my son. Hey. So anyway, what I did, I told him, I'm like, well, son, how do you know this girl? Because at this time we was just basically going through some rough patches with my son at the time. So going through some rough patches, him and some gang activity, other things that I heard of, but I wasn't really 100% focused on. I didn't necessarily not focused. I'm not gonna say focused. Things that I really didn't know of, but I heard of. But you know how that goes. As being a parent, we always be the last to know for the most part. So I told my son, I immediately went into a father mode and would disappoint. Because I told him, I said, "Well, son, you call yourself out in these streets, you call yourself a bad guy, this and that." I said, "Well, how you think, what do you think? Maybe this girl probably set you up or something. I told him that. He just laughed it off. He said, "Nah, Dad, she's cool. She's not like that." I said, "Okay, son, cool. So me being the father I am, I'm like, hey, I wasn't gonna stop him from, seeing this little girl. So I asked him, I said, "Okay, well, dang, son, where's her parents at?" I mean, I just, I tried to use a little responsibility as I could. So I said, where's this young lady's parents at? He said, "Well, they're out of town." I said, "Okay." I thought about it. So I told him, I said, "Okay, son, well, you know what? The hell with it. Find out where the girl lives. I take you. You know, because he also said, she stayed a little far away from him and he didn't want to ride his bike." I said, "Okay, cool. Just find out where she live and the hell I take you, okay?" So I sat back and I waited for him. I never received a call from him because he told me, "Okay, Dad, I'm gonna call you back as soon as I get the information." I said, "Okay, cool, son. All right." So with that, I always tell my kids all the time before I got off the phone with them, I always tell them I love them. I would say, "Hey, I love you, this and that." So what happened this particular day, I don't know what came over me or what not. This was one of those unfortunate days that I was about to just hang up the phone and not tell my son that I loved him. So I guess he sensed the fact that I was about to hang up the phone. He said, "I love you, Dad." And I said, "I love you too, son." So me expecting him to call me back, he never called me back. So I never got a call back from him. And, me thinking, okay, well, maybe he changed his mind. Um, I figured maybe he changed his mind, and maybe our kids are 16-year-old kids. So I'm like, okay, I just pretty much went on with the rest of my day, enjoying my Saturday off, one of those rare Saturdays. So I enjoyed my Saturday off. And then, like I said, going on with my day. And of course, it was a concert that my daughters were preparing to go to for that night. Of course, it was a Chris Brown concert. Never would forget it. So my daughters were, getting ready to go to this concert. So of course, we got them ready for the concert, all that good stuff. I'm sure it was about 11, maybe going into 12 midnight. So leading up into this particular situation, and the reason I started getting those feelings that I was kind of getting feelings of, that something is going to happen, but you just don't know. Something's going to happen, you just don't know. So I got into a habit of whenever my kid's mother would call me, I wouldn't say nothing. I would just pick up the phone and listen. That's just how paranoid and shocked I was at the time, because I just didn't know, but I had a feeling, but I just didn't know. Just so much uncertainty at that time. So, like I said, as the night progressed on, I get a phone call. My phone's ring, at a awkward time of morning. I think it was probably about, probably about 3 a.m., if my memory serves me correctly. It's about 3 a.m. I get a phone call. So normally, you always, when you get a phone call at 3 a.m., 9 times out of 10 is not good. So I get the phone, and I heard the most awful sound I've ever heard in my life. Like I said, I just picked up the phone. I don't say nothing. I picked it up. I heard yelling and screaming. At that moment, my heart automatically dropped, because I knew it was something wrong. So the whole time, I'm listening to her yell and scream in the background, and she said, "It's Wayne. He's gone. He's dead." And at that point, I really don't know what happened. It wasn't even a feeling. It was just like a complete numbness. I just became numb, and I just jumped out of the bed. I just, in disbelief, I just jumped out frantically. I just said, "My baby, my baby, my baby." That's all I did. I got up, scrambled around, looking for my shoes, looking for my keys, to go over to his mother's home. So the whole time on my drive there, I'm just constantly saying, "My baby, my baby." That's all I can say. So I got there to her home. Of course, she's on the couch, she's distraught. My daughter's distraught. And I'm just still trying to put things together, It's just like not thinking clearly. I mean, hell, I don't even know if I was even thinking at all at that point. So I just asked her, I like, "What happened? How do you know it's him?" It's just so many things that came in my head. It's like, okay, is it him? We just don't know, So I just had that denial had started to set in, and the disbelief and all that just bombarded me at one time. So I was like, "What happened? How did you hear this?" She told me that the detectives came over, and they said, they basically told her to call the morgue. They gave her a number, and she said the detective said that your son was killed doing something criminal. At that point, I mean, it's still a whole bunch of disbelief, uncertainty, whole bunch of emotions and tears, and at this time I was trying to just be a strong man. At this time, I didn't shed any tear, because that's when the denial set in. It was just like, "Oh, it's not my son. It's not him. It's a mistake. It's." So all those things I was just going through my head, was thinking that, like, it's not him. So of course, that went into about 6 a.m. At this point, nobody got any sleep. Everybody's just like up, and just like, just like, what's going on. As the shock started to sit in, and things started becoming a little more apparent. We started picking up the phone. We started calling some of his friends. Some of the guys that we knew that were pretty close with him and knew, pretty much where to find him at any given time. So we were doing all this. We were making all these phone calls and doing this and doing that. Just frightened out of our minds. Confused. Upset. Just everything that's going on. So we calling around. Have you saw Wayne? Have you heard from Wayne? Have you saw Wayne? Have you heard from him? So after that, after an hour or so of doing that, um, one of my son's friends came over, and his father that came over, and he asked me my son's name. I gave him my son's full name. At this time, he went down to Mesquite Police Department, and he found out that it was actually my son. At that point, I was still pretty much in a state of shock. I was still numb. I was pretty much lethargic. I was just walking around pretty much like a zombie, not knowing what's going on. And by this time, my friends and family started coming over. My best friend showed up, at that time. And about that time when, the lights started coming on, well, not lights coming on, well, daylight started to break, people started coming over, And by this time, one of the news reporters came over to the door to try to get a response from me, from the family. We're still in just like, disbelief, not knowing what to say, just not knowing what's going on, still not knowing what's going on. So I got my friend just to go out and tell him, no comment. We're not talking. We still trying to wrap our heads around what's going on. So once we actually got that news that it was actually him, and it was just at that point everything just kind of went still. It went still. So many emotions, so many questions, so many unanswered questions. There's so much pain. At that time, of course, we wanted to try to see could we get a chance to actually view the body. So they didn't allow us to view the body. They didn't allow us to view the body. We didn't get a chance to actually see our son until, so that happened on Sunday night. So we didn't get a chance to actually see him until Wednesday after the funeral home had picked him up and got him prepared. And that's it.